Now the question arises, why a hypervisor will be used? Now that we have answered what is hypervisor, it will be useful to explore some of their important application to better understand the role of hypervisor plays in virtualization environment. And let's see why we use hypervisor, right? So hypervisor simplify server management as virtual machine are independent of the host environment. In other words, the operation of one virtual machine does not affect other virtual machine or the underlying hardware. So the meaning of the hypervisor is it will make a separation between two virtual machine. Let's say we have virtual machine 1 and we have virtual machine 2 in one physical machine. So how the separation of these two virtual machine will be done? This separation will be done by hypervisor. Therefore, even when one virtual machine crashes, other can continue working without affecting the performance. So if one virtual machine will be crashed, so another virtual machine is not going to affected with the crash of this, right? And it will be work independently and work fine. It allow administrator to move virtual machine between servers, a useful capability for load balancing. As teams migrate virtual machine from one machine to another without stopping them, they can use this feature for failover. Now, this is another concept that why we use hypervisor. It says that it allow administrator to move virtual machine between servers. So let's say if we have virtual machine V2, we want to migrate that particular virtual machine here. This is physical machine 1 and this is physical machine 2. So you see we have two separate virtual physical machine. And what we want to do is we want to migrate this particular virtual machine to this particular physical machine, right? So how it is possible? So it is only possible with the help of this virtualization and this hypervisor concept, right? And what it will do is it will help the virtual machine to migrate from one physical machine to another physical machine without stopping them. So we are not going to stop the functionality what it is running in one virtual machine, but we can migrate it. So what we do is we'll make an image of this particular machine to another physical machine. This virtual machine will run and simultaneously this will run. And what we do is after that we'll stop this particular virtual machine to run this particular virtual machine. Moreover, hypervisor is useful for running and testing programs across different operating systems. So as we know that, like if a developer is want to run their program, so what they do is they will create a virtual machine separately so that it is not going to affect the underlying physical machine, right? So to take that particular concept in mind, the hypervisor has been useful here. Next, why we use the hypervisor. Instead of running different workload on separate physical servers, virtualization enable administrators to easily leverage the unused hardware capacity to run multiple workloads simultaneously. They can match their workload with proper physical resources, meeting their time, cost, and services level requirement. So instead of running different workload on separate physical servers, this virtualization will enable the administrator to easily leverage the unused hardware capacity to run multiple workloads simultaneously. So you might have known the concept of parallel processing, right? So how this parallel processing will take place? It will take place in one physical machine. It will take place through this particular concept only. So we have these virtual machines that we actually create, and these particular virtual machine will run one program parallelly. So if we have the independent module in one program, it will run that particular program parallelly, and in that they are going to execute it very fast. So it will generally use in the machine learning and AI programs, where machine has to do training of a particular algorithm, and it will take a lot of time for training it because of the large amount of training data set. So what we do is we divide the data set, and we put the algorithm in these virtual machines so that it will run and simultaneously, and it will be trained as soon as possible. As well as if we have the task, let's say a process has different tasks, so that task, one task will provide to different virtual machine, and these virtual machine will run simultaneously all those tasks, and results will be given with no time. So with that we can actually utilize the resources also, and with that we can reduce the execution time, right? So they can match their workload with proper physical resources, meeting their time. So time will be there. Cost will also be less if the time for processing one program is taking less time. So definitely the cost, underlying cost will be reduced, and different service level requirement will also be fulfilled. So these are the different reasons why we use the hypervisor.